It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're doing a reaction discussion video from Porydew titled The Complicated Rise of Skill Check Builds. Now, as you guys are probably fully aware, which this actually was displayed by Hens, gens can actually be completed in about half the time. I think the world record for completing all 5 gens was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm probably a bit off on the numbers, but 2 minutes and about, to give or take 30 seconds is pretty much been the world record, basically. And what they did was a skill check build consisting of the perks that you're seeing on the screen, which is the hyper focus stakeout with that little tambourine perk. I noticed that was one of the main perks that they were using that were basically able to brush the gens out at the speed of sound. So I can imagine that this video is going to cover a lot of that, you know, of those issues that come with the game coming from, you know, a killer main myself. I thankfully haven't gone against a skill check build where a game can end in 2 minutes. The shortest games I've been getting, which it has been the consistent number at this point, I think was about 5 to 7 minutes on average. And it is unfortunately the norm. And I think a lot of people on average are just kind of running full meta, and that is sort of the standard when I play this game. So that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's go ahead and listen. And the original video will be linked in the description, of course. You can watch it on your own, but let's go ahead and take a little bit of a listen here and see what my thoughts are.
Encountered lately is intriguing to say the least, and thus the reason why I'm talking about it right now. At their core, skill checks are luck-based. The overall value skill checks can provide varies every match. Skill check builds are also only valuable when you're actually able to repair gens or heal. So if you're being chased for most of the match, chances are slim that the perks will be useful. However, one of the newest survivor perks, 1, 2, 3, 4, has increased the efficiency of skill check builds by a wide margin, allowing for the 2 most important survivor actions of any match, repairing and healing, to be completed in near record speeds. On one hand, it boggles my mind that skill checks have become this powerful, but on the other hand, it can be immensely satisfying as a survivor to get objectives completed at a rapid pace.
I could understand that perspective, trying to complete objectives quickly when, you know, it is a slog to go through with playing that side. And as somebody who has played about 400 hours according to my DBD stats, and I have not added any more hours, I don't think, since, or maybe 1 to 2, over the course of trying to get challenges for events, I can definitely say that, at least from my perspective, the most interesting aspect of playing the side was to be chased in the first place. And in my anecdotal personal experience, I never was able to always get chased enough to keep me engaged with that side. And I just always preferred to play killer as a result. It just feels like I'm more engaged with the game, feels like I'm really being able to test my abilities, and to be able to improve as a player. So, of course, like, trying to speed up the objective to make it more efficient would probably be at least somewhat enjoyable to somebody who's playing that side. And the only issue is that it indirectly then kicks every other killer in the gut, basically, because they have to be the one facing that type of objective speed. And that is, I think, the biggest problem with the game. I've been breaking this down, I think, in every video at this point, but the main issues that DBD has usually is boiling down to the speed of the objective. Because of how fast the objective is, it boils down to the killer has no choice but to then use strategies. And we've heard many takes about these strategies. Usually either A, somebody doesn't like to use the strategies, and B, somebody doesn't like to face the strategies. And the issue is that that's the only way you can really play efficiently, because by and large the only way you can apply pressure is by doing the gens and existing as a survivor. By you existing, you can then heal someone, repair a gen, destroy a totem, counter the killer's power if they have like an EMP or something like in a case that you pull out to counter powers. Or you can walk around and use your eyeballs if you're looking at unknown or even Ghostface. you just being in the match is going to apply more pressure than anything else will, just because of what you're capable of being able to do. So by and large, using strategies like tunneling and other forms of that are going to be the main way to try to build pressure and to be able to remove that pressure from the killers themselves. So overall, I would say like this is really a symptom of the greater issue, which is going to always be the speed of the objective. And the objective in itself already is extremely easy to do, extremely fast. Like it really does not require you to really use your brain. I mean, there is even a feature in the game that you can just toggle the gen repair so that you don't even have to hold down a key or hold down your right click or anything like that. You can just have it automatically fill for you while you wait for a skill check and press the space bar. It's really that easy. So the fact of the matter is, like, and everybody, I think anybody who plays Killer consistently and isn't just hopping on Killer every 2 years can attest to say, yeah, like the objective's a bit quick. Like everything is really getting faster. And obviously, as we're seeing across the board, gens are faster, healing is faster, right? As a result, because healing is fast means more time on gens. Pickups are faster, or they can pick themselves up, more time on gens. The gens are even faster now, just objectively because of skill checks. Chases take longer, more time on gens. Like everything is bleeding back into the gens. And that, I think, is the biggest problem that the game has right now. And honestly, if you ask me, if they were to just add in additional objectives in order to repair the thing, like if they had to like search for parts to put into the toolbox, not the toolbox, to put into the gen, or they had to fill up a gas can first and then pour in something and then take it for somewhere else and then put it somewhere else, that would honestly make it probably more engaging in my opinion, and at least would provide a bit of more regular slowdown, so it doesn't require a killer to run 2 to 3 slowdowns like minimum just so that they have a fighting chance when they're playing a killer that's not the strongest in the game. But you know, I went on a tangent. That's just my thoughts on the overarching problem when it comes down to this.
So how did we get here exactly? Of the two actions, I want to focus on generators, as this is the most important objective that involves skill checks. To give a quick overview on generator skill checks, in the early days, gen skill checks used to provide bonus progression to good skill checks as well as great skill checks, with the bonus for great skill checks also being higher than it is now. Over the years, these progression bonuses were nerfed, resulting in what we have currently, which is a 0% bonus progression for good skill checks and a 1% bonus progression for great skill checks. In regards to perks, the earliest and only perk that revolved around skill checks in the early days was a little known perk called This Is Not Happening. It has remained virtually unchanged since the beginning, only receiving one slight buff, which swapped the increased success zone from good skill checks to great skill checks. This perk has almost always been overlooked, as there have always been stronger perks for survivors to use. I personally think this perk is extremely underrated, but that's beside the point. As the years have gone on though, and more new perks have been introduced, the number of perks centered around skill checks has gradually increased. The most notable of these perks is Hyperfocus, which has allowed for other skill check perks to become even more powerful. And with the right combination, some of these perks, when paired with toolboxes or medkits, can allow for an insane amount of efficiency, rivaling the fastest repair and healing speeds. For example, the fastest solo gen repair that I've completed is about 35 seconds. I mean, just look at this.
So let me try to pause it there so that I can try to give you guys a bit of a framework as to why a gen could possibly be getting done quickly. Now, mind you, when we actually check on the end screen, there 9 times out of 10, you're not even seeing this build, right? You're not even seeing a skill check build. But assuming that it is a Swift and they can't coordinate around that, where certain people can take chase or whatever have you, and depending on how the killer plays, therefore can determine this as well. Obviously, this DBD is a game full of different variables and factors that are all fully perspective and anecdotal in its ways. It's very confusing. To try to simplify this, right? 35 seconds is how fast they're completing the gen, right? So say for example, it takes you 5 seconds to find somebody, about 10 seconds to actually down them, and then about another 5 seconds to actually find the hook, place them, and then start walking. That is over 90% of the gen done by that math. If like, but this is all just estimation, but let's just say for the sake of argument, that only gives you about 10 seconds to even go over to that gen in the first place. Yeah. So, and that is if you're as efficient as you can, right? Because 5 seconds is pretty generous. 5 seconds is pretty generous. We're also talking about chase time, which you should be having quick chases anyway. That's just how it is on killer regardless. But if you're downing them very quickly, where it's like they are getting an M1 immediately, they speed off, and then you have to follow them up. Maybe there isn't a pallet there, you can get the down, you finally get to the hook, then you start walking, but you only have about 10 seconds to actually stop them, and they're already done by the time you get over there. Just to try to put that into perspective. And it's why I've honestly stated like why like agitation base kit would be nice, right? And then you can't have that because survivors will complain and say they can't sabo or blind or whatever nonsense they can think of. But I've always said this, like, you know, finding hooks is downtime. Like that is like a lot. I constantly have mentioned this in previous videos when talking about like perk balancing around like with survivor and everything, like, and even killer perks. Like we can, like I've always made that point that we can say that, oh man, there's some really strong killer perks, but a lot of them, I would say, at least in terms of the slowdown, require you to quite literally interact with these survivor. You have to be efficient enough to down them, experienced enough to down them, and then also have a hook that's close enough for you, and then you need more time to get over there, because there's a lot of downtime that people don't really realize that they have when they play the killer side. And one of those things is getting to the hook. Like picking up and getting to that hook is going to be quite slow. You have to get like it's really insane when you really think about it. Now, a lot of characters probably don't need to worry about those kinds of things. Like Blight, for example, can make up all that time and distance, or Billy can make up that time and distance very quickly. But a character like Trapper or Ghostface or even Skull Merchant in the current patch, it's like those little couple seconds are going to make the difference, because every meter that you're trying to walk is just you walking. Like you can't dash it, you can't sprint it, you can't jump. Like you have to just like walk all the way over. So each and every second is that important when it comes down to traveling across the map and knowing when to go over there and how early you need to go in order to intercept. And when you really think about how a gen can be done in 35 seconds by somebody by themselves, I think that already should be a red flag. That already should be a massive problem with the game. And the crazy part is that behavior, for some reason, does not have any idea as to why killers are quitting, or even they probably don't even care that killer players are quitting. And the crazy part is, it's like, how is this in the game? How is this in the game? Like if there was a way for a killer to kill somebody in less than 35 seconds into the match, like they spawn in and within 35 seconds they're already dead, they probably would have to do something about that, right? Now, I already know there's probably going to be somebody who will say, well, you know, tunneling does that, and that boils down to a skill issue on the survivor end, because nobody is dying within 35 seconds of a game starting unless they actively are quitting. And even with the current patch, there's literally zero chance that could occur, because there's already a pallet 2 inches away from a new one. So there's really no excuse for you to be going down at this point. So I have to ask, like, why is this in the game? Like, why is this allowed in the game? I don't know. Because this is like essentially exploiting. Like, if you ask me, like, this is like some next level of exploit, right? But for some reason, this is just allowed in the game. Like, there is no killer in the game that can keep up with that kind of speed. Because, like I've stated, even Blight can't completely eliminate a survivor in 35 seconds. Like, you can get it down, sure, but that also means that you have to pick up hook, run back, and then that has to deal with that person who can then run from this pallet to this window to this pallet to this window. That's gonna completely fly past 35 seconds. There's just literally no way. But they're able to complete their objective in half a minute.
I don't think 35-second solo generator repair speed should be possible, but this is what the game allows you to do right now. There's just that many perks that when combined together and thrown together with a toolbox as well, you just have this epic combination. And while this repair time did require a toolbox, you can easily complete a gen in about 60 seconds or less without a toolbox as well. From my perspective, the current overall best combination of skill check perks is Stakeout, Hyperfocus, Autodidact, and 1, 2, 3, 4. With these perks, you can easily achieve fast repair and healing speeds every match. There are variations to this loadout that I've tried that have also been super useful, such as substituting Stakeout for This Is Not Happening, but ultimately these 4 perks will bring the most efficiency with the 2 most important actions in any match.
So I want to add on to what is being said here, because this was something I was touching on in other videos as well. But the reason that the gens are also going so quickly is because of the efficiency on healing speeds. You can even talk about like the anti-pulling that they do on the hooks. Like all these different factors contributed for the gens to get faster and faster. And then obviously with the perks being added into the game, it's even faster and faster. So as we're even seeing here in the video as being used as an example, we have a build here that can speed up healing speed and gen repair speed in the same build, basically making everything extremely efficient. And you can probably imagine if there's a Swift that decides to put that on, you're pretty much gonna have a 2-3 minute game and that's it. GG's. Like, and Behavior wants to claim, oh, we want players to feel like their time is well spent in the game and all these types of stuff. But they forgot to write in for Survivor, because if they really cared about the killer experience, they wouldn't allow this to be in the game. You're not respecting the killer's time either. They load up a game and then they ended it ends in literally less than 5 minutes. They don't even get to play. Most people on average are probably gonna get 1 hook, maybe 2. If you're experienced enough, maybe 3. But there's so little gens left that you don't even have enough time to even begin to get another down or a kill. It's just mathematically impossible.
Repairing and healing. Even though this level of efficiency is currently possible, I have to imagine the breaking point of skill check efficiency builds feels imminent, if it's not already happening. The efficiency these types of builds can provide cannot continue on for much longer without starting to impact the overall balance that is attempting to be accomplished. The key conflicting aspect about all of this, though, is that there continues to be more perks being created that center around improving skill checks in some way. Whether it's the number of skill checks, the progression bonus they provide, or some other factor, it's all contributing towards skill checks slowly becoming a determining factor in the outcome of a match, and in some cases this is already happening. The crucial point I want to underline about all of this, though, is this. The design philosophy of new perks is contradictory to the overall goal of balancing the game. Skill checks went from being too generous in the early days to now almost right back where they started, just with perks granting the bonuses now instead of the base skill checks themselves.
With the idea that the skill checks are becoming right back to where they were, means that the game has been Survivor favored and will continue to be Survivor favored until something changes. That's pretty much what it's sounding like to me personally, because we already understand the early days of DBD was extremely Survivor favored in a lot of ways. There were infinites, there were ridiculous perk balancing, decisive, and dead hard, and all these other stuff. It was all in the game. Skill checks are way too insane, and it's sounding like we're gonna head back into that direction again. History repeating itself with this awful game, and this is gonna boil down to why killer players are leaving. There's just going to be a lot of players that are just not going to stay. I really don't think that a lot of people should stay. I think that the game is just not in a good spot. I think that the devs have completely shown that they only care for Survivor players at this point. And the funny thing is that I predicted this a long time ago. A few months ago, I've already predicted this. I already knew this was coming because they constantly keep on with the same stuff. And as much as survivors can claim that it's killer sided, they don't even have evidence to prove it. Like, they don't have any evidence to back it up. The only evidence I've ever heard being brought up is that they mention a patch over like 2 to 3 years ago saying, oh look, killers got buffs, and it was like, yeah, but when we say it's survivor favored right now, we're talking about the recent past, like what, 3 to 4 months range. Like, why are we talking about something a few years ago? Who knows? There is no proof that it's killer sided. There's no evidence to prove that. There simply is not, because if you look at every single patch, there has been buff after buff after buff to perks that did not need any changes, that were perfectly fine where they were. They were unnecessarily buffed. Body knowledge comes to mind. Resurgence comes to mind. You name it. In the current PTV with Wicked, Resurgence combined, like they're getting full healed without even being healed now. That's even faster than 4 seconds. That's literally not even healing in the first place. Like, you're just already healthy. Like, what? Like, this is the peak of heal speed now. Like, you're literally healing in 0 seconds. Like, what are you talking about? But somehow they can still say, oh, it's killer sided. In what way? Why? What evidence is there to prove it when we have patch note after patch note, evidence upon evidence, people across the board with different play times, different MMR levels, different mains, different walks of life are all saying the same thing. So those are my thoughts for today. Let me know what you guys think. Check out the original video linked in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one. Consider becoming a member or supporting the channel on Patreon, or becoming a YouTube member for exclusive content, perks, emotes, for lives, you name it, you get it. You know, it's all there. And stay tuned to have all my members read off at the end of this video. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take some time out to thank all my members from Patreon with Crow King 101, my YouTube members, Majora Jeff, Endire, Evil Peachy YT, Zero Mocker, Christian, Hexdev, and Crow Vader, and for my Twitch subscribers, Cake is the Road, Danica 2002, Final Girl _Bunny, Acklefin, Chili Cinderace, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Johns 117 _ Lovely Ghost TTV, Jar TTV, Zazabu, and Crow Vader. Just wanted to thank you guys. And if you also want to have your name read off at the end of every video, make sure you join on one of these platforms to get one of those perks, as well as the other perks you get. So, appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.